today is one that we used in the confirmation program as well. It's about the call of Jeremiah as a young person from Jeremiah chapter 1. And I will offer the voice of Jeremiah, and Tanya, as the youth leader, will offer the voice of God. About time, right? Then came the fateful day when the Eternal One first spoke to me. This is how I remember it.
Before I even formed you in your mother's womb, I knew all about you. Before you drew your first breath, I had already chosen you to be my prophet, to speak my word to the nations.
Oh God, I'm too young and inexperienced to speak for you.
Don't use your youth as an excuse. You can go wherever I send you. You can say whatever I tell you to say. You have no reason to fear the people you speak to, for I am with you and will defend you.
Then the Eternal One reached out and touched my mouth and gave me a divine message to share.
Look, I have placed my words in you. You will now know what to say, for you will be my voice. This very day I appoint you to speak with my authority over nations and kingdoms. Your word, my word speaking through you, will have the power to uproot and stamp out, to destroy and to upend. And then your word, my word, will rebuild and plant anew. Here ends the reading. Our meditation today is called Walking with Our Youth, and John and I are both going to share a little bit. I'm going to talk about the confirmation journey itself, a little bit of what we experienced together. As you heard when they came up front, they have some very deep thoughts. Those paragraphs, they answered some questions and some prompts that we had, but those are their words. And you should hear them when they're in the class together speaking, if you think that is insightful. They have some really unique perspectives on things, and I learn from them all the time. So you heard that we talked about all the ways of Jesus and the ways we're called to live as we follow Jesus. And I spoke a little bit about the prayer session, and then we had the unconventional wisdom session, and we made some posters where we cut things out that showed unconventional wisdom, like the spiritual wisdom that Jesus teaches us versus things that are what society tells us we have to be. And they made some really creative posters and came up with things I would have never thought of. One example that comes to mind right now showed a mom with two little girls at a breakfast bar waving dad off to work on the conventional side, and then on the spiritual or unconventional side it showed a dad with two little girls skipping along, and Jane Goodall talking to Abe. So it was like, this is a mom who's going off to work and changing the world, and a dad who's just every bit as good a parent as the mom is. So, I mean, that is just, to me, that is so insightful. That's just one example. They had lots of them. And then we talked about service, and when we talked about service, we talked about why we serve. Because it's the way Jesus taught us to be, and said that is the way to live, is to care about how we treat others and how we treat the earth, how we care for all of creation, and we do that often through service. And during that session, we went down to the fish pantry downstairs in the other building, and we didn't bag groceries because they were already bagged up for the next little bit, but we took the bags that the groceries are going to be in and wrote notes and drew pictures on the bags so that when people got the groceries, they would have some things that said, I think there was a unicorn, rainbow something, there was robots, there were Minecraft things, I can't remember what all, but they all said things like, hang in there, or you are loved, or just have joy, be joyful. It was just really nice, the things they came up with. Some of the pictures I didn't totally get, but I think maybe the kids who are getting them will get the pictures. And they came up on their own with an idea that we're going to implement as soon as confirmation is over, and that is they want to gather some toys and books to add to the ones that are going to families. So that's going to be their confirmation class project, is to gather some different toys and books to put in the bags that are going to people, families who have little kids. So they thought of that on their own too. Then we talked about social justice, and that's a big thing here at Church of the Savior, and they've heard a lot about it through the years in church. And but we mostly talked about the difference between service and social justice.